Now, we know the consumer electronics business is very large, and there are thousands of players, and people make a lot of money doing it. I wanted to just call out the do-it-yourselfer community as well, right? And it's hard for us to think about this because this is how we usually show up. We're usually on the internet, we're on forums. We don't see a big group of people collected. Well, this year at Makers Fair, there were 85,000 attendees, right? And to visualize that, take your college stadium and pack it to the rafters. And each of them paid $20 a day to attend, right? So there are a lot of people who want to get involved. Most of those people at Maker Fair, they're not programming SXs. They don't know what an EEPROM is. They're just looking for a really basic, easy way to get involved. And those 85,000 attendees, 50 people showed up to show off their projects, right? 50 people. So that's pathetic, right? I've shown you, we already know that there's a big consumer electronics opportunity, and I hope to demonstrate that there's a do-it-yourselfer opportunity as well. And there are two basic ways that people approach this. There are a couple alternatives that I want to point out too. One is to get a job. The other opportunity, really, the big one is to start a business. And I think that's the primary opportunity for a lot of hobbyists. It's not the huge roadblock that people may think it is, and we'll talk a little more about that. So, if you're thinking about starting a business, here's my advice for you. No Rambos, right? And nobody knows what that means. We're all hobbyists, and we do what we like because we think it's fun. Many of us are. So we go into this thing, and we say, okay, I'm gonna start a business, I'm gonna make some money. And the first thing we do is we go it alone. What happens often is there's some things about business that we probably don't like bookkeeping and filling out, municipal forms and paying fees and all that stuff. If you do it alone, there's a good chance you're really not going to look forward to doing those things. There's a good chance you may skip on some of those things. You really can. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of frustration. And the chances of a single person succeeding are much less than Rambo's success, right? And when I say get someone to help, I don't mean get an employee, but I mean somebody you trust, like Ken and Chip, right? Something like that where, a real partner in your business. You need money. In California, the very minimum, the absolute minimum to start business is about $2,000, right? That's filing state form. Realistically, minimum of $15,000 to $20,000. And people, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. You need money in order to figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work. And without that, then you can't take the risks and the opportunities that you need. You look at a lot of business case studies where people failed, and lack of capital or lack of sufficient capital is the number one. So when I say 15 to 20K, that's bare minimum. And that can't be money that's reserved for your kid's education. This should be 15 to 20K that you could set on fire. The third thing is a plan, right? It doesn't have to be a 100-page plan, but you need to do a business plan. I have one on the site, actually, a template you can get on GadgetGangster.com. 15 to 20 pages. Who are your competitors? What's the market? Where are you going to spend your money? How long is it going to take? You don't have to do this, and if you don't, there's a very good chance you're going to waste a bunch of money and a bunch of time. So spend 15 to 20 hours just doing one yourself, and make sure that there's an opportunity there before you put a bunch of money and time. More importantly, time. It takes a long time. One thing that's not on here that I want to stress too, if you take nothing else out of the presentation, if you go into business and you do not create a separate legal entity, you open yourself up to unlimited liability. This means that, let's say as an example, you're building a test unit, and you send it to a reporter and want them to cover it. And they say that it zapped them on the hand, they're going to sue you for $1 million. If you created a separate legal entity, a business, the worst thing that can happen is your business goes bankrupt, which is pretty bad. But if you have not created a separate legal entity, you open up yourself to what's called unlimited liability. It means that if the judgment is against you, a judge can garnish your wages, take your home, take your car. Please incorporate in order to protect your personal stuff. You don't want this to be a tragic lesson. And it's not expensive, and it's not that hard in most states, and it's going to protect you. So I want to switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk about an alternative, which is what I'm here for, which is Gadget Gangster. So the way Gadget Gangster works is you go to the site, and you post your project, and you just tell us how to put your project together and what parts are in it. That's all you need to do. And then builders come to the site and they order the kits from us, right? We take care of the fulfillment, the order processing, the customer service, returns, all that kind of stuff. And then at the end of every month, we split the sales with you, right? So for most designers on site, the way it typically works is they post a project they think is fun. Builders come, they check it out. Some projects are wildly successful, some are not successful at all. It's a very uneven distribution. I can't explain it to this day. I don't know what it is about projects that make them sell well. Some sell really well. Some I think this is going to be a hit. It's not very popular. So for most designers, at the end of every month, we either send them a check or we send them a PayPal for their portion of sales. So they never have to send out a kit. They never have to buy parts. They don't order PCBs. They don't have to do anything except develop the project and tell us how they built it. So it's a different approach, and I'll tell you some of the pluses and minuses. There are two right here. We don't carry custom PCBs. We carry, right now, 3 project boards. They're pretty flexible, actually. This is one of them. We also have a half board, and we have, I left it on the table, we have a boss board. They have Nintendo jacks, PS2, they have potentiometers, headphone jacks, video and audio. They support propeller and SX and pickaxe and dual power supply, all kind of crazy stuff. It's a project agnostic PCB, but you can do a lot of stuff with it. The other one is we're not Mauser, right? We don't have 10 million components. We carry probably 150 to 200 components. That said, it's really not an issue. Some of the older designers, not older, but some of the more traditional designers, they do everything with discrete logic. It's pretty challenging if you're going to do everything with discrete logic. But if you're doing it in software, most of the magic is in the firmware. It's really not an exercise in a huge variety of components. It's an exercise in the software. So that's the negative, that's the drawback. So some of the positive things, like I said, we manage the shipping, the order fulfillment, the processing, all that kind of stuff for you. For most designers, they sit back and at the end of the month they get a paycheck for the project they put in. And we split the sales with you. So we give you 20% of the sales, and everybody balks. Why don't I get 100%? Well, that's impossible, right? For a typical project, say one that sells for $10, about $5 of that goes straight back to the people who made the parts that we ship. Of that remaining $5, about 5% goes to the bank in terms of payment processing for the credit card. And you get 20% of the sale. That's straight. And we keep a quarter, 25%. So the way to look at it is we split the gross margin really with you. It's pretty reasonable, I think. You know, we have to order hundreds of boards. We have to order hundreds of components. We take a lot of risk in holding the inventory and all that stuff. For the average designer, to get a 50% split, and all they have to do is just say how they put it together. Some designers just split up because they find it fun. They want to share their ideas. And for those folks, it's like, this is awesome, right? I didn't know I was going to get money for this. There's some more benefits. One, we co-market. For some of the designs that are up there, we'll do banner ads, we'll show up at trade shows, we promote your projects on the site and off the site. More importantly, we don't make any claims to your project. We don't own the source code. We don't want to own the source code. We don't own the design. We don't make any claims. You're free to take the project off the site at any time. We don't make any claims to your project at all. That's Gadget Gangster in a nutshell. And you can find out more at the counter. You can sign up. It's totally free. So our original Gangster Award is the person who hosted the first project on Gadget Gangster. I have an award for him. I'll give it to him when I see him. And then our all-star contributor, Cody. Cody, basically all the good stuff on the site was his idea. And all the bad stuff was my idea. So,